Hey peeps, welcome to another video. Today it is my year in review. I've done this for the last couple of years and I've really enjoyed looking back over the things that I have made, kind of having a think about how successful they were, if I've worn them lots, the ones that were less successful. So today is going to be a little bit longer than last year. I've made, according to my notes, 125 things. A lot of those were knit projects, and I will say, again, I know you guys probably know this already, but this is my full-time job. So I do create a lot of things because this is literally what I do full-time. It's my job and my hobby. So even when I have some spare time, I tend to be sewing. But yeah, it's going to be a long one, so let's jump into it. The very first thing that I have is a sew over Eve dress. I don't think this was the first thing I made this year, but it is the first video that I've got coming up. It is the sew over Eve dress with the McCalls 7537 sleeves, which are these sleeves, made in a viscose. I love this dress. I've only worn it a couple of times. It's made of rayon and it definitely needs ironing, but I really like that dress. I really like the fuller, longer sleeves on the Eve dress. I think it makes it more appropriate for wearing at this time of year rather than in the summer months. So I was very pleased with that one, and I have worn it a couple of times. Next up we have the So La Di Da Sweetheart dress in a viscose that I got from the textile centre. I think the previous one was from the textile centre as well. This was an experiment. I have done a couple of videos called Get the Look for Less, and I found a Reformation dress which was very similar in shape to the Sweetheart dress, so I thought I would try and recreate it. This is kind of a wearable muslin. I needed to do some more tweaks to the So La Di Da dress to get it to fit me the way I wanted it to. I was really pleased with how this one came out, but I would have liked it to be a little bit longer in the skirt, and I did have the fabric to do that, so I'm a little bit annoyed, but I do think it's a really pretty dress. And that one again has the sleeves from the McCalls 7537 on it. I have worn this a couple of times. I think it probably would survive a cull through my wardrobe, but it's definitely not one of the greatest hits of this year. Next up is another Eve dress, this time with the original flutter sleeves on it. Again, this is made from a viscose that clearly needed ironing. All my Eve dresses are crammed into my wardrobe, so they need ironing before I wear them, and I don't have an ironing board up here, so that doesn't tend to happen. This was made with the Acrea Palms viscose that Wilson got me for Christmas, and I had wanted to add the longer sleeves to it, but I just didn't have enough of that fabric. It was only 110 wide, I think, and I had 3 meters of it, so I just squeezed the traditional Eve out of it, but it's lovely and I've worn it lots this year. Next we have some scuba dresses. This is my favorite pattern for scuba fabric. It is the Vogue 7892. I hope I've got that number right having said that. I think I have 14 of these dresses in total. This fabric is from Fabric Styles. Mum loved it, so I ended up buying 7 meters, and we both have exactly the same dress from that particular scuba. Next up was the Gertie Butterick coat in a green, inexpensive green wool that I got from the textile centre, and I lined it with some poly satin that I got from Cotton Reel Studios. I put some appliques on the collar and beaded the collar because I wanted a really pretty and bright and warm winter coat. Now, all of the reviews that I'd read for this pattern said that it came up small. I took that to heart and I made it too small for myself. I can wear it, I could get into it, but it wasn't as warm or covering as I would have wanted a winter coat to be, and I have since donated that one. This is another Vogue 7892, this time in a pixelated lemon print on a black background. As I've mentioned, I think there's 4 of this dress coming up. I decided to just go through my scuba stash and get them all sewn up so that I could wear them in the colder months, because that's the only time I wear scuba dresses. They are like your own little personal sauna suit, and I'm always cold. So all of these fabrics were from Fabric Styles. This is a marble print, which I have this one in the black, grey and white colourway, and when I saw that they did it in this really colourful one, I had to have some because it's just really pretty and it makes me happy every time I wear it. Then the next one is a yellowy floral leafy based print, which will come as a surprise to none of you, and again I really like wearing this one. I like wearing all of them. I kind of struggle with the light ones with tights because I'm not quite sure what colour tights to wear with them, but they are very warm, they're very snuggly, they're like wearing secret pyjamas. Next up we have the Vogue 9345. It is a maxi shirt dress with a notched collar. I made this with some viscose that I got from the textile centre. I think I had 5 meters of it, and I did make some giant sleeves, which you will be seeing later on in the year. I decided that I didn't like how the giant sleeved looked on the maxi dress version because I thought it looked quite evening gownish with the big sleeves and all of the fabric. So I ended up making this into a sleeveless dress, which I have worn a few times in the winter layered up like this, and then also in the summer with nothing underneath it. Then I decided to go through my stash and clear out some of my French terries. And when I say clear out, I don't mean as in I had a lot of beautiful French terries and I wanted to get them into garment form so that I could actually wear them. So this is the wanted tee. I think I had like 1.5 meters of this fabric because I really liked it. So I decided to make the wanted tee as well as a sweater, which you'll see coming up later. I had some inexpensive ponte in my stash and I wanted to give some different types of jumpers a go, or sweaters a go. This is the Schnittchen Patterns Katrin. It's either the Katrin or the Sue top. The colours of this weren't particularly a style choice. They were what I have left from the inexpensive ponte that I'm going to try and make these muslins up in. The initial go round of this, the bottom band was super tight and really unflattering, so I took it off, cut a new bottom band. It sits slightly more like the picture on the pattern, but I don't think it suits me. I do like the top half of this, and I have plans to go back in and crop it so that it hits at my waist, and I think that will suit me a lot better. This month was quite an interesting month comment wise as well. We had some people trying to explain to me that slouchy jumpers were meant to be just that, slouchy. I do agree, but I didn't feel comfortable in this. I didn't feel like I looked my best. I felt like it highlighted my largest point on my hips and didn't show that I had a waist. It just made me feel really big. As I say, this is either the Sue or the Katrin, and this is the other one, so this is either the Katrin or the Sue. I've put the bottom waistband on this one incorrectly, but again, it was what fabrics I had left over from my ponte, my inexpensive pontes. So again, the colour blocking on this wasn't really a style option, more of a what will fit wear option, but I did try to make it look good. Again, with this one, I really like the colour blocking option on it, but I don't think it suits me at that length. So I would like to go in and crop this one a little bit more, just so that the front of it skims over my natural waist. I don't mind it being slightly lower at the back. I just want to show that I do go in at the waist because my hips are so big, but again, that's a personal preference of mine. My niece said that she liked both of these, so she has got these jumpers now. Next, we have another wanted tee in some fabric I got from Lamazi Fabrics. It is a blue and white stripe with little seagulls all over it. Again, I think I was having a clear out my jersey stash. I wanted to try and sew up everything I had in my jersey stash. I didn't manage. Well, I cleared out a lot of the things that I had in my jersey stash, but for somehow I have ended up with, it seems to be just as big as ever, and I don't buy jersey very often, so I'm not quite sure how I managed that. But next up, we have another wanted tee in a fabric that I got from the textile centre quite a long time ago. It looks like it's been, it actually looks knitted, this fabric. It's really soft, and I had quite a lot of it, so I've made 2 tops, one of them being this wanted tee, which I do really like and I do wear. Then we have the softest fabric I've ever felt in my entire life. It was a gift from Girl Charlie when they came to the Sew Southampton meetup last year. It was pink and it had leaves on it, so I'd been admiring it, and the very lovely Mark gave me and Gemma both a small gift of fabric, which was really sweet of him. I made it up into a wanted tee. I don't wear that one quite so often because I think the pink looks better on me when I've got a bit of a tan, but I do really like that t-shirt, and it is the softest stuff you've ever felt. So next up was an experiment, and it is the Sew Over Anderson blouse with some ribbing on it, made in a, it's like a sweatshirting material with sharks on it. It's really soft on the inside, but it doesn't have a lot of stretch to it, so I couldn't make my usual jumpers with this, and I didn't want to make an oversized jumper because I knew I wouldn't wear that. So this was actually attempt number 2 at the Sew Over Anderson in knit form. Lisa Comfort had mentioned that she'd seen somebody at one of the shows in a knit version of that, and it just really spoke to me, and I thought, oh, that sounds like a lovely idea, and I tried to make it work, and I don't think it did. I think this is one of the fails for this year. I've not worn either of them because I don't think they're great on me. This one, I think I stretched out the waistband as I was showing, and I think if I had made the waistband slightly tighter it might have been better, but it wasn't the jumper I was hoping it was going to be. So next up we have the remainder of that knit fabric from the textile centre. This is a mashup of the Comatia boxy hoodie and the Seamwork Astoria. I kind of smooshed them together. It has bat wings. I had some jumpers like this from Urban Outfitters. I had 2 of them and I loved and wore them to death. I wore them to the point where they had completely bobbled, would fit for nothing. But I was really pleased that I got that one made up, and I wear that quite a lot as well. Next we have a whole bunch of jumpers that I made with my pretty sweatshirtings from my stash. So as you guys, as I mentioned, I bought a whole bunch of French terries, a lot of them from Poland. I had some of them were gifts from Alex, and I decided that they would be better made up than sitting in my stash. So I went through and I made the McCalls 7634, and I've modified that jumper so that, because the original pattern comes with a front placket and a hood, I didn't want to make all of these in that manner, but I really like the shape of that jumper on me, so I eliminated the front placket and put a neckband on it instead. I made it out of the green leafy one that I had quite a lot of, which is what I made the wanted tee out of as well, which works surprisingly well in a sweatshirting fabric actually, or in a French terry. Then it was this light floral fabric that again I got from Poland. I fell in love with that print, and Alex very kindly sent me some of the black colourway, and I found some of the white colourway as well, so I got myself some. Next up we have this leafy print, and I used some cuffing that Alex sent me. It's red, white, green with black stripes on it, so I think it's very Gucci-esque. I really like how this jumper has come out, but I don't wear it very often. I've kind of been dressing up a lot more, which sounds kind of weird given the year that we've had, but I've felt that's really helped with my mood, so I haven't been wearing this kind of outfit very often. I've also decided that I hate how skinny jeans look on me at the moment. I really don't like the way I look in these twirls, so yeah, I haven't been wearing these jumpers as often as I thought I would do, but I do really like them. This is the toaster sweater out of some fabric from Higgs and Higgs that looks like it has been knitted. I have cropped the toaster sweater and I think I make a size small. I like it, I just don't wear it very often, but again for the same sort of reasons as these other little jumpers, just because I've been dressing up and wearing this kind of thing a lot more than I have been wearing my slouchy clothes, although I made all these slouchy clothes so that I would have fancier slouchy clothes to wear. This fabric is all Rachel's from Stitched Up's fault. She sent me a message on Facebook and just said, "Oh, look at this, isn't it lovely? It's got leaves and kitty cats on it." And I said, "Oh yes, I need that." I added some cuffing that again the very lovely Alex had sent me, and I really like how this one has turned out. Then we have some more fabric that I got from, I think it's Maiki. I'll try and list as many of these things in the description bar as I can. This is acorns and pine cones with some green cuffing or ribbing. I think this was actually ribbing fabric. I really like how this one looks, and again I haven't worn this one very often either, not because I don't like it though. This is the original McCalls 7634 in a black ponte with some rainbow bias binding on it. As you can see, it has the placket and the hood on it. I really like how that turned out. I don't wear the hoodie as much as I wear the tracksuit bottoms from that one, but you haven't seen those yet, they are coming. Next is one of the most controversial dresses I've made this year. This really split you guys down the middle. I really like this. Looking at it again, I know it's not without its problems, and it was a copy of a Tory Burch dress, and it's a Mimi G for Simplicity pattern. I will try and put all the pattern numbers and pictures up as well. I really like how this came out, although this dress is not finished. It's not hemmed, and I haven't finished off the zipper because the back was way too low for me, so I want to revisit this dress and raise up the back neckline. I'm also going to have a look at the colour blocking again. This is, as I say, is a direct copy of the Tory Burch colour blocking options. I think I can do better on my figure. I don't have any more of that white ponte left except what's in the skirt of this dress, so I think I'm going to butcher this for parts and play around with the positioning of the colours so that I have the darker colours at the bottom and the lighter colours at the top. I think that would be more flattering for my figure. But I really liked how this came out, and quite a lot of you didn't. Let me know. Yeah, I think this is one of those ones that was a controversial make. Here are the trouser bottoms from the McCalls 7634. I love this set. I wear these trousers all the time. I was actually wearing these this morning when I was down at the main house cooking the beginning of the Christmas dinner. I really love these trousers. This is the second pair that I've made. I've made a teal version as well. I will be making more. I have some fabric in my stash that's set aside for this. I just need to make the time to do it, but I wear these a lot and they are very comfortable. This is the first attempt at the sew over Anderson blouse. This is some really expensive fabric and cuffing from Alpstoff. It's a beautiful burgundy colour with kind of like a gold thread running through it. It's not soft, which is really unfortunate. I like how this one looks better than the shark one, but I do think that it's just not the right sort of silhouette for me. It kind of looks like a Letterman jacket, which is kind of what I was going for, but I was hoping that I'd be able to wear it over long sleeve roll necks and things like that, and I just can't because it sticks to fabric, so you have to kind of not have anything underneath it. And as I say, it's not soft, so it's not the nicest thing to wear, which is why I've not worn it. This is another of the Comatia and the Seamock Astoria mashups in a kind of rainbow knit. I don't think this one was as successful as the grey with burgundy flowers on it. I do like it, but I've not worn it since I've made it, and it's not been one that I've thought to reach for. I think maybe this one needs to get culled from the wardrobe, but I wasn't, the fabric's nice, but it wasn't like one of these ones that was super precious to me, so it was an experiment, and it's a nice jumper, but it's just not my favourite jumper, and as you've seen, I have quite a lot to reach for. Okay, so this is the Deer and Doe Sirocco set. I think I've made 4 of these now. So this first one in this teal ponte, again, I think I got this from the Fabric Room or the Textile Centre. It's slightly different to the one that I used for the colour block dresses and the 2 jumpers. I loved this fabric, but it was inexpensive, so it was wearable muslin fodder. I made this Sirocco using the guide from Deer and Doe, the size that they said I should. I think it's way too big for me. It gaped at the front, so I had to put a press stud in. Looking at it, it looks like kind of like pajamas, and also kind of like a Star Trek uniform, which I'm not mad at. You know, I am a Trekkie, so I'm not mad at that, but it wasn't what I had envisioned when I made this thing. So the very next day I went back and I retraced the pattern with the sizes that I thought would look better on me. I added some more width to the waistband. Because I'd added length to the torso of the previous one, and as I say, everything was gaping, but I need the extra length in the torso, so I added it to the waistband instead. I shortened the trousers. I traced the smallest size of the trousers around the ankles. I love how this has turned out. I think this is really successful. I'm slightly annoyed with myself that I wasn't more conscious of where the pattern placement went, because I've got 2 kind of flower boobs, but thankfully they're higher flower boobs. If they had been lower, then it might have been unwearable, but I really like this, and I have worn this many times. I loved the Sirocco so much that I went back and I ordered myself some French terries from Lily and Mebe, and that's what this one here is. It's actually a cotton jersey on the top, French terry red waistband, and French terry navy blue trousers. I saw somebody on Instagram had made one up in this exact configuration, and I absolutely loved it on her and wanted to recreate it, and I hate it on me. I don't know why. Loads of you guys really liked it, but I really don't like this configuration on me, so this one has gone to the charity shop. And then finally, I think this is called Midnight Garden or Midnight Floral, something like that. It's a French terry in the Deer and Doe Sirocco. Again, I'm really pleased with this one. I wear this one a lot. I still have it in my wardrobe. Very happy with that. Next we have a pattern that I can never remember the number of. I think it's 7318. something like that. I have made this pattern quite a few times in the past and I've never been happy with it because I want it to look like the illustration. There is only one skirt option, which is on the pattern envelope, the made up one, and the illustrations are the same skirt option. That's it, there's no other skirt option, and the illustration is so much fuller than the actual skirt comes out in real life. I tried adding volume to it before, but trying to keep it so that I only had to cut it on a single piece of fabric and didn't piece it, and that wasn't enough fullness for me. So I went in and I added a whole bunch more fullness and actually added some seams. So there are 3 panels in the skirt front and 3 panels in the skirt back. I absolutely love it now, and I think it now looks like the illustration. This blue and leopard print fabric was a viscose jersey I got from the textile centre. It was a really unusual print. Saw it and I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do with it, but I bought some thinking probably pyjamas, and I decided to sacrifice it for wearable muslin fodder for this dress, and I actually love how it's turned out, and I've worn that dress quite a lot. Next we have McCalls 7892. It is a ruffly wrap dress with some long bishop sleeves. I did this as a sew along and I really like how this one turned out. The sleeves are kind of weird though, because these like big bishop sleeves have volume at the top as well as at the bottom. The sleeves on this ruffly dress, they are kind of fitted at the top and then bell out from kind of just above the elbow, so they're weirdly restrictive, which is kind of sad because I really like this fabric. It was again from the textile centre, and it was one of the ones I had in my stash that I had 5 meters of, so I would be able to do this dress in, because as you guys probably know, I like to double up if I'm going to make ruffles. If ruffles are going to be seen, which these ones are, if the inside of the ruffle is going to be seen, then I want it to be the exterior fabric. I don't want it to be the wrong side of the fabric. I would like this skirt to be ever so slightly longer, and when I make this again, because I definitely will, I am going to lengthen the skirt probably by about 2 inches so it just covers my knees. But I do really like this one. I had planned to wear this out for my birthday dinner with Wilson in London, but obviously that didn't happen. But I do really like this dress and I will wear it. It's kind of a date night dress to me. It's more dressy than the kind of Eve dresses and things. I'm not sure why, but it just is. Then we've got the Butterick 5209. Again, I did a sew along for this one. I love this dress. I really love this dress. I made it from this viscose that I had from the textile centre. I'm going to be saying that a lot today. I love how this turned out. I was surprised actually. I thought I wouldn't like the skirt, but I really do. I don't know if I'd like the skirt in anything heavier than a viscose though. I think I might add on a circle skirt or a half circle skirt if I do decide to make it out of a cotton lawn or something like that. But from viscose, the gathering at the waistband is not too bad. I've worn this dress a lot. This is one of the ones that I always get compliments on when I wear it. Wilson really likes it as well, so I wear that one a lot, and I have made another one which you'll be seeing a bit later. This is the McCalls 7319. I was close earlier in the Cobra corsage. So the blue orchid and leopard one was my wearable muslin because I wanted to use my very expensive Lady McElroy viscose jerseys to make this up in. I have plans to make at least another 3 of these dresses. I really like how it's turned out. I will say that I have made the entire dress here out of viscose jersey. There's an underlayer and then the overlays go over the top. I've made the underlayer out of a plain black viscose jersey. It's really drapey, so you can sometimes see a little bit of the solid black poking out. I'm going to try and combat that by using a cotton jersey to make the underlayers of this dress when I make the other ones, and then use the viscose jersey over the top, so there's just a bit more structure and hopefully it doesn't drag down as much as this one does. I think I should be able to just put some tacking stitches in this one to keep everything in place so that you don't end up with these little V's of solid black. And I did it that way because, as I say, this fabric was expensive and I didn't have quite enough to cut the entire dress out of that fabric, so I decided to piece it together with 2 different ones. For the, as I say, the black viscose jersey underlay you never supposedly get to see. Next we have the Vogue 9357. This is my second one of these. I did a sew along for this with some lemon print, which you'll be seeing in a second, and I loved it so much that I went back into my stash and tried to find something else with some stripes on it so that I could make up a second one. The bodice on this dress is really weird. The darts point an inch above the apex on the pattern piece. I have shown a few people and they're all completely mystified by it. I've ended up with kind of very pointy little darts, and I have tried everything that I can think of to try and get the pointiness to be removed. This is one of the patterns that has a D cup or a cup sizing on it, and I needed the D cup to fit me, so it was a very large dart. So I was thinking that was the problem, so I split the dart in two, still pointy. I moved the dart down so that it pointed at the apex, and that created a whole bunch of other fitting issues. I've kind of resolved those in the third one of this that I have made. As we go further through the year, you'll see that one. I have decided to call it a day with this bodice. I don't think I'm ever going to get it to fit the way I want it to. I have other patterns in my stash that are similar to this that I can add the same style lines to, so that I can achieve the same thing, and they have their darts pointing at the apex, so I think I'm going to try and make them fit and just use the skirt part of this dress on them, because the skirt I love. It has super giant pockets. I can get this entire dress out of 3 meters of fabric. That's great because I have some smaller cuts of quilting cottons in my stash that I would like to use up. The pattern did come with a waistband or a midriff band, which I did put on this lemon print one, but I absolutely hated how it looked. I decided to take it out, so I've adjusted the pattern for that, and I talk you through that in the sew along as well. This lemon print one with the stripes, as I say, is the one that I used for the sew along. It's a combination of two fabrics, all over lemons and then stripy lemons, and I love how this has turned out. I've worn it a couple of times. It's a really comfortable dress to wear, and as I say, I absolutely love the skirt, which you'll be seeing later. I had bought a lot of those two fabrics, and I used most of the overall lemons for the dress, but I ended up with quite a lot left over. So I attempted to make a circle skirt with a striped fabric, and this is an 8-panel, I think it's an 8-panel 3/4 circle skirt. I did cut this out incredibly carefully to try and line up the stripes, but I didn't manage to do it perfectly. So if you look at the joins, they aren't exactly meeting up. I think the overall skirt is very effective, and I really like how this looks, although I haven't worn it very much. I think I've worn it twice. Next up, we have some more t-shirts. This was a session of cutting out all the gables. So we've got a black gable t-shirt in viscose jersey with long sleeves. Then we have the Sew Over It cowl neck t-shirt in the Cobra Corsage jersey. I really like this. I have modified that pattern a little bit. I added a self-facing piece to the cowl because I didn't like the way that the original pattern was finished. Next we have the Megan Nielsen Briar t-shirt. I like the overall shape and idea of this, but this one, this has some fitting issues. The shoulders don't fit me, the front is way too short, and the back is too long on me in my opinion. I want to go back and I want to tweak that, but there were other things that were way more interesting to do this year, so I never quite got around to that, but I will do. Next up, we have another wanted t-shirt made from some gorgeous cotton jersey that I got from Dots and Stripes, and it has, there's a gable coming up in a minute with the big motif on it, but I had enough left to do something with it. So I started cutting out the wanted tee, and I didn't realise that I didn't have enough fabric to cut out any kind of sleeve, and I didn't want a vest from this, and I also didn't want to have to try and deal with hemming or putting bands onto the sleeves or the armholes of the vest. So I added some black viscose to the sleeves, and I actually think this is quite effective. I've worn it a couple of times. I think it bugs me that the print isn't perfectly centered, but I only had a very little bit of fabric left to work with, so that wasn't possible. So I think for what I did, it was pretty good. Then we have some mystery fabric that I got from the textile centre. I thought it was polyester, but it presses so beautifully that it might be a natural fibre. I don't know. I didn't have very much of it. I had bought it as a remnant from one of the knitting and stitching shows, and I made the Adrian blouse from Friday Pattern Company with it. I absolutely love it. I've worn that quite frequently over the rest of the year, so it's definitely a success. Next we have my muslin for the Sheridan sweater. I knew I was going to like the Sheridan sweater, but I knew I'd also want to cut it out of really expensive fabric. So I decided to cut it out of this very inexpensive and scratchy khaki coloured knit that I got from the textile centre. I really like how this fabric looks, but I do not like how it feels to wear. So I literally made this as a wearable muslin to test the fit and see how I liked the top. I really did. But this one has been donated. This was my wearable muslin for the gable t-shirt. I'd been gifted this fabric, which is blue with little bumblebees all over it, and I used it as my very first gable t-shirt with full-length sleeves. I absolutely love it. I have worn this t-shirt quite a lot this year. So much so that I went on to cut out my expensive fabrics. So this grey one has little cat faces on it, and the cat's eyes actually glow in the dark, although I've never worn it in situations so that I can see that they glow in the dark. I haven't charged it up and then been in a dark room, so I don't know that for sure, but the fabric, that's what the fabric claims. I really like the gable tee. I like the 3/4 length sleeves, or these just past the elbow sleeves. I think it's a really nice t-shirt and I wear it a lot. This is the gable t-shirt with the peacock fabric with the large motif on it, although my hair's covering it. It has the giant peacock on one side and it was very strategically cut out to try and take best advantage of the print, and I really like this, and again I wear this one quite a lot. Next up is some fabric that was gifted to me and it's absolutely beautiful. I only had a metre of it, so I was hoarding it, trying to find the perfect t-shirt. And I think the gable is a really good t-shirt for showing off beautiful prints because there is a large expanse of pattern to it, you know, it doesn't, like the wanted tee has the square neckline and lots of bits cut into it. The gable tee, it doesn't have any kind of neckbands or additional pieces or darts or anything like that, so I think it's a really good one to show off beautiful fabrics. I was so careful cutting this out to make sure that I got a pheasant front and center, and I was really pleased with how that one turned out. This is some fabric that was gifted to me by Lamazi Fabric. I placed an order with them for some Lady McCalls viscose jerseys and they put a metre of this kitty cat print in it. I decided to use it for a gable t-shirt and I love it. And it was, I think, the first short sleeved one that I'd made, and I really like how it turned out, so I was really pleased that I finally got that one sewn up. Like I say, I think this was the month where I was trying to work my way through my jersey stash. So these are definitely not in order because this Sew Over It Eve dress is my Get My Sojo Back dress. I had made a whole bunch of tops which will be coming up in a minute, and none of them had been particularly successful. So I'd kind of got into a little bit of a funk with my sewing, and I decided that I was going to make a Sew Over It Eve dress because they are quick to make, they fit me, I love them, I wear them all the time, they just make me happy. This fabric is organic squares. It comes across as very red pinky, but it also has like orange, green, purples and blues in there, so it's a really versatile dress. I wear this a lot. I mean, as you guys know, I love the Sew Over It Eve dress. I have a lot of them in my stash. It's a palette cleanser for me. I Get My Sojo Back make, and it's also something that I really enjoy wearing. We're back to some t-shirts. So decided that we were coming into the summer months. Or the spring months. I wanted some short sleeve t-shirts. So I have a black gable with short sleeves. This is the Adrian blouse in a palm viscose jersey from Lady McCalls. I can't remember the exact name of it. I have it on Cotton Lawn, but I bought, I think I got this remnant from Sherwood Fabrics. There was just enough to cut out this t-shirt and a gable, so I had got 2 t-shirts out of this cut of fabric and I really like it. I wear it very often. Here's the gable t-shirt, short sleeves. This fabric has a tiny little hint of pink, hot pink in it, so it's kind of quite fun to pair it with hot pink shoes. Not that I have in any of these clips, but I have worn it that way since. This is a white wanted tee from some viscose jersey from Minerva Crafts. It's very sheer. I kind of wish I had doubled up the layers so it would be thicker. I do wear this t-shirt, but not very often because it is so sheer and see-through. Then I made a bright yellow wanted tee, and again I think this is one of those ones where I was just having a week of cutting out wanted tees because I have a pink one as well. I had 2 meters of all these fabrics, so I was cutting out at least 2 projects from each of them whilst I was in a cutting out session. So I have the pink wanted tee, and I think I've also got, yes, I've got a short sleeve gable t-shirt in that. Then I've got a grey short sleeve gable tee. Again, I really like this. I've worn this quite frequently, very versatile. And a grey wanted tee, and the same, very versatile, really like wearing this one. And I think this is the final t-shirt. It's a white short sleeve gable from the remainder of the 2 meter cut that I did the wanted tee from. Again, slightly sheer, but it works. Oh no, this is the final one, a black wanted tee from some viscose jersey from Minerva Crafts. Now we get into the the month. It was meant to be the month of tops. I made a whole bunch of t-shirts that were really successful, and then I made a whole bunch of camisole tops, none of which I particularly like. So this is the Ogden cami. This is the only way I would wear this tucked in. I would not wear this not tucked in. It's the best of the bunch. This is the Misty cami. I don't mind this one either, but it's not perfect. It's not the, I think it's because I don't know. This is the Misty cami version 2 with the different strap option. Again, it's not awful, but it's not my favourite. This is the Crystal Cove cami from Itch to Stitch Patterns. I really like this, but because of the way the back kind of crosses over, you can't really tuck this one in. So I think the only way that I would actually wear this one is if I completely cropped it and I wore it as a crop top over some wraparound trousers and my bikinis by the pool. And this final one is the Camilla cami from Tessuti. I think this was the most successful because this one is cut on the bias and has some fisheye darts in the back, but I ended up with these weird little wings under my arms because of the size I cut for my bust. I've addressed those and I have cut out another one, and it's still sitting by my sewing machine waiting to be sewn up, because in my head it's the perfect cami, and it will be until I actually make it up, and it either is or then I realise that it isn't and I'll have to go back to the drawing board. But yeah, the camisoles were not a success. This is the Now and Then Evelyn blouse. I really like this. This was some inexpensive poly chiffon that I got from the textile centre. It's got little lips and hearts all over it, I think they are. The pattern is not drafted for a sheer fabric, so I made some alterations to it. I took the facings out and added bias binding instead. I went by the measurements on the pattern, and whilst I could just get this on, the waist was so small, and the only it's meant to be a slip-on top. The only opening is this little the keyhole at the back. I could only just get this over my boobs because I think there was like 4 or 5 size differences between my boobs and the waist. So I've gone back and I've retraced this pattern. I have done it as a straight up and down, and I'm going to put a channel for elastic in at the waist because I love how this looks, and I have some 35 a metre silk that I plan on making this top with, but I wanted to make a muslin first to make sure that I liked it, because this silk is 35 pounds a metre and I can't get any more, and I can't afford to make a mistake with that expensive fabric. So this one was the most successful of all the tops that I tried, but it did need a lot of tweaking. I've made all the changes to the pattern. Now I just need to pluck up the courage to cut out a different fabric for another wearable muslin to see if the fit changes that I've made have worked. But yeah, that one was a bit of a fail as well, and it's since been donated. This is the McCalls 7542. I think everybody has made this pattern. It came free with a sewing magazine, and it has a whole bunch of sleeve options on it. It does just have a slit at the back with either I've put on a tie, but it has a button option. With sleeves, I would think that was really difficult to get in and out of. I really wanted a cropped woven pattern that didn't take a lot of fabric. I think this took about 70 centimeters of fabric. I really wanted a pattern that I could use for all the little scraps of fabrics that I had left over, and I wanted something that was cropped at my waist. The original pattern is meant to be longer and worn tucked in, I think. I want to like this, but I feel that it has darts at the bust, but I feel like it hangs from my bust down, and whilst it is cropped and you can see my waist, I don't think it's the most flattering shape on me. I did try and persevere and make another one, but it didn't work. It didn't work. So that was not the mythical perfect top that I was hoping it was going to be. Next up we have the McCalls 7974. The mustard one is actually the second one that I made. We will get to the first one in a minute. I did a sew along for this pattern. I love this pattern. I haven't worn this dress as yet. It's incredibly low cut, even with the alterations that I've made. This is the second one I've made. I've made 3 of them now. I am going to revisit the pattern next year because I do really love it, but I needed to make some significant changes to it to get it to a point where I loved it. So the first one that I made is this green or minty green all over roses print from Lisa Comfort. This was some fabric that I got in this So Hailey Jane mystery box. It's a gorgeous fabric. The Patreon peeps voted for that fabric and that pattern combination. As I say, I really love this dress. Battery's dying, 2 secs. You have power. Yeah, as I say, I love this dress. I think I featured it in my Get the Look for Less videos. I think it looks incredibly like the Cult Gaia embroidery on glaze dress. I think it's gorgeous. It's just incredibly low cut, incredibly low cut. I've seen lots of other people have made alterations to make it button up higher. I have made an alteration like that, and I do include that in the second part of the sew along that goes with this dress. This first one, I followed the pattern instructions and finished it the way they wanted me to, which was unlined, and I hated it. absolutely hated it. I was doing the sew along for it and I got to a certain point and just stopped filming because I just hated the way it was going together and I didn't like the finish on the inside and I knew I could do better. So I finished the dress. It looks lovely. I haven't worn this one because it is just so low cut. I think I need to try and wear a camisole or like a lacy something underneath of it because it's just indecent. I mean, you can just see my bra. I finished this one. I then went back and decided that I wanted to fully line the bodice, which I did, and that was how the mustard dress was finished, and that was how I did the sew along. As I say, I've made another one which you'll see in a little bit, which has got some more alterations to it, but I would like to try and revisit the pattern and do a few more alterations to it because I really like the idea of this dress. Although by the time that I've done all the alterations to it that I will have done to make it the way I want, is it even the original pattern anymore? This is the McCalls 7971, which again was a sew along. It's a backless dress and I was a bit worried that I wouldn't be able to wear it the way I wanted to because I need to wear a bra. I have big boobs and I don't feel comfortable not having a bra on. I love how this turned out. I have worn this out. The hooks and eyes do come undone, so I am going to have a look at the pattern and see if I can sort that out. I have a feeling that I'm probably going to end up taking the bodice off of that dress and adding a facing to the rest of the skirt because the skirt has a facing at the back to finish off the little gap at the back, and I'm going to turn that one into a skirt only because I love the skirt portion of that with the thigh-high split. I think it's gorgeous. That fabric was a really beautiful viscose which was a gift from the very lovely Anna, so I want to try and save that one because I do really like the fabric and I think it will suit. I think it'll be something I reach for more as a skirt than it is as a dress, although it was nice to wear in the very hot weather. Next up we have a full circle skirt made from a border print, and I used the border print, as you can see here, so that it was running across the top edge of the skirt. I had intended for this to be a dress, but my vision didn't quite work out the way I had in my head. I think my border print was slightly too large a scale, but I really love this skirt. I think it's really pretty. I haven't worn it very much though, but again, we've not really been going anywhere for me to wear these kind of things. And I do tend to wear dresses, or I do tend to reach for dresses over skirts just because a dress, you know, you have one thing to think about, where the skirts you've got to put an outfit together. This next one is a refashion. It is the 5-panel circle skirt with some cotton sateen from Spoonflower. This was some fabric that they gave me in collaboration on a sponsored post. I was so excited when I got that email. I absolutely love this, but I erred on the side of caution way too much. I was so worried I was going to make it too tight that I made it way too big for myself, and it had been in my to mend pile for the longest time, so I pulled it apart during one of the live hangouts. I resewed it so that it actually fits me, and I have worn it a couple of times since. Next we have another border print. I think this was border print month. I don't think I got quite as many done as I would have liked to though. This is some Michael Miller Tropical Madness fabric that I've had in my stash for the longest time. I knew I wanted to make a skirt out of it, and this is my pleated and gathered skirt, which there is a tutorial for on my channel. I love how this has turned out. I haven't worn it as yet. That is again because I reach for dresses more than I reach for skirts, just because I have so few tops to wear with them. This is the McCalls 8009 jumpsuit, which was a sew along. I like how this has turned out. This one is also a very cleavage-tastic front. I think I'm actually going to ladder stitch a little bit of that closed, just so that I can wear the balconette bras that I prefer over my plunge bras. I actually did a little hack with the cuffs of the trousers on this one because I wanted to be able to wear it drawn in, which was one of the options of the pattern, or as a wide leg trousers. So I've added these little doodads in the hem so that I can have both options. I really like this. It's an Empire line dress, jumpsuit. The bottom of the midriff band is about 2.5 inches above the waist, so it makes my legs look really long, but I find it really weird to wear. I want to revisit this pattern and actually put the waist on my waistband and see how I like how that looks, because I think I might prefer it. But I do like how this looks, and I have worn it a few times over the summer. Next up we have a two-piece, which is a Jennifer Lauren Hunter tank and then some wrap trousers from Simplicity. I love how this turned out. This was a border print viscose that I got from Stitch Fabrics. I saw it and loved it and bought myself, I think I had 5 meters. Mum loved it and I've bought her some as well. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I really love how the wraparound trousers have worked out. I used, as you can see, I used the stripe down the front wrap of the trouser legs, and I'm just so pleased with how this has come out. This is definitely one of my favorites from the entire year. I love it with the hunter tank. I think it looks like a really nice jumpsuit, but I also have the individual pieces to wear as well, so very happy with that one. Then we have another Vogue 9357. This was more successful in the pointy dart area than the last ones. I had played around with the fit of this a lot. I got the darts to be less pointy, but it messed up the fit on the rest of the bodice massively. I still want to go into this one and take out the lining and just take out a little bit from the princess seam under the arm, because it is just a little bit gapey at the top. But I made it with this Lisa Chandler fabric, and again, this is a combination of an all over print and a border stripe. I love this dress. I got so many compliments when I wore this dress out. I am so pleased with the pattern matching on this dress as well. The invisible zip down the back really is invisible, and the waistline matches up really well. I had very little of the main body of the fabric, so I'm very pleased that I managed to get that dress looking the way that it did. And I love the giant Waratah flowers, I hope I've said that right, on the patch pockets on the front and then on the front neckline as well. I'm really pleased with how that one turned out. Next we have the third McCalls 7974. This is the maxi version with the keyhole sleeves and the little collar on it. I love this dress. I have worn this out a couple of times. I raised the neckline on this, and I raised it by 1.5 inches, and I've gone back in and I have raised it by another inch. This one is still very cleavage-tastic, but it is a gorgeous dress. I love wearing it. I've worn it a couple of times in the warmer weather, although I hated the way that they wanted you to make the sleeves. I thought it was really fiddly, and I couldn't get a great finish doing it the way they wanted me to do it. So I actually fully lined the sleeves and fully lined the bodice on this. So it's not the most cool dress to wear in extreme heat, but I do love it all the same, and the little collar on it's gorgeous, which is why I want to persevere with this pattern, because I really like the idea of it. This is my second McCalls 7542. I made a lot of tweaks to this one. The original one, I didn't like how they wanted you to finish the armholes or the facing, and that was because it was meant to have sleeves on it, so I did the armholes with bias binding. I ended up drafting an all-in-one facing for the armholes and neckline for this one. This was a scrap of fabric I had left over from a dress I made many moons ago. Again, I think it might be a combination of the quilting cottons and the pattern, but I don't like how it hangs directly down from my bust. So that one for me was not a win and has been donated. Next up we have the hunter tank, which is reversible. This fabric was again a gift from the very lovely Anna. I think I used this one for the sew along. Lots of you guys were interested in how I fully lined the hunter tank. The reason I fully lined the hunter tank is the little ties at the front. I find those were really fiddly to finish well in rayon, which is the kind of thing that I like to make this top out of. So the one that I made many moons ago, I had hemmed it the way that it was meant to be hemmed, but I really didn't like how it looked, so I decided to fully line it because it's much easier to get a clean finish. I have now made quite a few of them. I really like the hunter tank. It's unfortunately not the perfect top out of a small amount of fabric, because obviously you have to, if I've fully lined it, you need twice the amount of fabric that the pattern recommends, but I do really like the so it's not the solution to all the small scraps of fabrics that I have in my stash, is what I'm trying to get at. But I do really like how it looks, and I have made a few of them and I do wear them all. Ah, this one, my parrot, jungle parrot dress. This is a mashup of the By Hand London Anna bodice and the skirt from the Vogue 9357. In theory, I love this dress. This is a panel print, and I had 2.5 of them, and I knew that I wanted to try and make a dress from it, and I knew I wanted to try and make this type of dress from it because I'd seen somebody else make a beautiful kind of duster coat out of the panel, and the parrot was on the back and it was gorgeous, but that's not the sort of thing that I wear. So I wanted to make something that I knew I was going to wear, and I came up with this combination. I love how this looks, but it isn't perfect. I fluffed up the pattern matching on the front. It's not perfect. I added in a side zip because I thought I was going to have to use my second panel of parrot on the back skirt, and I didn't want a seam down the middle of the parrot's head on the back of the skirt, but I managed to get a half a panel from M. Rosenberg Stitch Fabrics, and so I managed to cut the back of this dress out with just grey, with a tiny little bit of the leaves at the side, which is what I was after, but it did mean that I didn't need to put in a side zip. I hate side zips. Looking back at this dress now, I really want to love this. I haven't worn it since. I think it's because the pattern matching bugs me that much, and so many of you guys were so complimentary about this one, and you know, if I hadn't pointed it out, it'd be very difficult because there is the grey band in the middle, so it, you know, breaks up the fact that the parrot doesn't quite match up. But they put Stitch Fabrics put up on their Facebook page that they had got their final 3 of these panels in, and I snapped them up. So I have another 3 of these panels in my stash. I have the remnants of what I've got from this dress, so I have a full parrot and some of the grey fabrics in my stash downstairs as well, in my scraps pile downstairs. I want to revisit this. In my head, I know I can make a beautiful dress out of this, and unfortunately this is not quite the one. So I think maybe this ought to be in my fails. Whilst it was what I imagined, the execution was not perfect. So yeah, I'm not going to get rid of this one. I'm going to keep it. I'm pleased to know that I have more of this fabric in my stash, so that I can revisit this dress at another point in time. It was an obsession. This dress was a proper obsession. Okay, next up is some more fabric from Stitch Fabrics. This is another parrot print, but it's an all over tropical leaf with little parrots dotted all over the place. This is the McCalls 6696. But it's got a Bruyere back panel on it to get rid of the pleat. I hate that pleat, what was meant to be gathers. And I've put on a full circle skirt. I retraced the front pieces of this pattern as well, because when I initially traced it out, it was for a B cup, and I have put on a bit of weight since then, thankfully proportionally, so my boobs have got a bit bigger. So I have traced out a D cup for this, and it fits me a lot better than my B cup ones that are in the cupboard. I really like this dress. I didn't really wear it over the summer though, because again, I'm not a huge fan of that kind of shirt dress. I have come to realise I much prefer a notched collar on a shirt dress rather than the full collar stand and collar option. Next up we have my reversible hunter tank, made from the mustard and navy print fabric I got from Material Girl Laura. I bought this for the McCalls 7537, which you are going to see in just a second, but I had enough left over to cut out a reversible hunter tank. As soon as I had fully lined the hunter tank, I realised that it was a reversible option. My pattern clashing or pattern matching, I'd bought these 2 fabrics, so it's the same print just in the different colorways, to make the 7537, and as I say, I had enough left over to get this hunter tank out of it as well. And this is the other side of the hunter tank, the navy side, and you can just, the only way you can see that it's reversible is on the little tie. You can see the opposite side of the fabric when it is worn. I really like it. Next up we have the Vogue 9357, and this time in skirt form. I decided that I love the pattern so much that I wanted to make myself a denim skirt. Now this denim I'd bought with the idea of making a jacket out of it, so I had 2.5 meters, which was just enough to get this denim skirt out of. And the minute I'd let go of it, it has to be a denim jacket, I was just like, oh, it would make an amazing denim skirt. And I kind of decided earlier this year that I don't like how I look in skinny jeans. It's probably from watching all of the Twirls back for doing the lookbook videos. I really don't like how I look in skinny jeans, and again, that's my just preference. I know some of you guys love how I look in skinny jeans, but it's not my favorite look on me. So I'd kind of stopped wearing denim, and then I realized that I had this cut in my stash, so I made up the 9357 in skirt form, just added a straight waistband to it. I love that skirt and I wear that skirt an awful lot, so I think it's again one of my standout pieces for the year. So this is the Vogue 8997. This is a pattern I've had in my stash for a very long time. I actually made a wedding dress out of the top of this for a client when I was making commissions, and it was gorgeous, and it's been on my radar to make for the longest time. I use this viscose that I got from the textile centre. It has orchids and birds of paradise flowers all over it. The print actually runs from selvage to selvage, so I cut this out on the cross grain. I made a sew along for this dress. This dress is a really easy one to put together, but it is a fabric hungry beast because it is a fully lined dress as well. There are some fabrics that you wouldn't need to do that with, but this fabric was very sheer, so I have fully lined this one. I love this dress. I'm really pleased with it, but I never wore it because to me it was one of my dressier summer dresses, so I never went anywhere this year to actually officially wear something like this, but I will be next year. Even if we don't go anywhere, I'm going to wear this dress. I love it, and I have plans to make another one in white that I can wear as kind of a pinafore dress and put some shirts and stuff underneath it. I love this pattern, really love this pattern. Next up is the McCalls 7537, which is a pattern I love and have done a sew along for. I wanted to try and do some pattern clashing. The pattern envelope has some amazing different options on it, and one of them is an option with 3 different printed fabrics on it. And again, as I say, I was trying to cheat because I'm not very good at putting clashing patterns together, so I thought it would be a good idea to buy the same print in different colorways and attempt the dress that way. I don't like how this turned out. I really wanted it to be a summer dress, which is why I put the little sleeve doodads on rather than the long sleeves. So these are actually the sleeves from the 7537, and I love these sleeves. As you've seen, I've put them on a lot of things, but this dress, I decided that I wanted it for the summer months, so no long sleeves, and it just doesn't work. There were many opinions about why this didn't work. Mum and Dad both didn't like the blue band at the bottom of the skirt. Some of you guys felt that like the navy looked like a bit of a harness over the bodice. I think this would look better with the longer sleeves, but I don't have enough fabric left because I made the reversible hunter tank. I don't have enough fabric left to cut out full-length mustard sleeves. I do have enough fabric left to cut out the sleeves and piece them together so that I have mustard at the top and then the blue at the bottom. But I think I'm actually going to donate this dress, and I think I'm going to call this probably my biggest fail this year. In theory, this should have been a really amazing dress. In reality, I just don't like it. I think I need to only make this particular dress with these sleeves on it. I do have plans to make more of this dress, some of the ones with the ruffles because I really like that option, and I'm going to do it without the bias binding trim. I'm going to do it with just the ruffles. But yeah, this one was not a win. This was a definite fail, and I haven't worn it since these twirls, which is a shame. I like the back of it. It's just, yeah, it's not quite right, and it's such a shame because it's such lovely fabric, but I'm going to donate it and somebody will like it, so somebody out there will get some wear out of this. It's those sleeve doodads. I don't like those sleeve doodads. Next we have the Butterick 5951, which was it's not a vintage pattern, but it looks like a 1940s dress. I made it out of this viscose that I got from Material Girl Laura. I love this. I think it's gorgeous. I was so surprised by how much I liked this shape on me. It has some really interesting ruching detail in the kind of darts under the bust and at the sleeves. At the shoulders, sorry, and then the sleeves are gorgeous. I like the high collar, I like the plunge on it, I like the little detail on the sleeves. I did not have a long enough zip for this one, so I put in the only zip that I had, which was a 22-inch one, which comes an inch below the waist. It just means that it's nearly nigh on impossible to get in and out of this. I can do it, but I can't do it gracefully. So I've not worn this one since. I have, getting in and out of it, ripped a tiny little hole in the back of the skirt seam, which is repairable. I need to basically take this zip out and put in a longer zip, and then it will be something that I do reach for way more often because it is a gorgeous, gorgeous dress, and I want to make more of these ones. And actually seeing this again, I'm going to add this onto my to sew soon pile because yeah, it's a really pretty dress. I really like how it went together, and I really like how the sew along came out for this dress. So I need to, it's one of those ones that I need to repair and then I will wear. And I'm a poet and I didn't know it. So next we have another hunter tank. This happened to be the leftovers from a different dress that you'll be seeing in a minute. A red denim skirt from the Vogue 9357 pattern with the giant pockets. I love that skirt. I've made 3 of them. Denim, in fact I think I glossed over the denim one earlier, but yeah, I've made a denim one, I have made this red one, and then I've made another one in some fabric you'll be seeing in a little bit. I absolutely love this skirt shape. I think it's really flattering on me. I like wearing it belted with tucked in tops and then my little cropped jumpers or cardigans over the top. It's something that I have been wearing a lot since I've made them. And I've made 2 of them in plain fabric, so they go really well in my wardrobe, and I really like how they look with that hunter tank as well, which, like I say, was made from some leftovers from a dress that you'll be seeing in a minute. Next we have my second set of beach pyjamas. I made my first one quite a while ago, and there is a sew along for those. I bought this fabric from the textile centre. It's a rayon. Shocking. I always knew it was going to be beach pyjamas, and I love how this one has turned out, and I wore these a lot in the hot weather. They are gorgeous. I retraced the pattern because when I first made it, I made it quite big, and it was meant to be a roomy outfit, but I made it a little too big for me. So I retraced the pattern, and I like how it's come out, but I do need to adjust where the waistband sits on me, because at the moment this one, it sits under my rib cage rather than on my waist. The crotch depth on the beach pyjamas is perfect, so I am literally going to cut out a bit and just move it down and not adjust anything else on that pattern. But I really like those. They're very, very, very comfortable, and I've been wearing those a lot. Next we have the Butterick 6554 in some absolutely gorgeous rayon that the very lovely Fanny got for me from Malaga in Spain. I know, I think Malaga's right, but it was from Spain. She'd featured it on her Instagram, and I messaged her and just went, I love it. And she was like, I thought you would. I can go back and get you some if you like. So I sent her the money, and she sent me fabric. So it's been in my stash for a very long time because it was precious fabric to me, and I needed it to be the perfect pattern. And I was going to make the sweetheart dress, but I decided to make this roughly 6554, which again there's a sew along for, and I love it. I've worn it quite a few times over the summer months. I have 3 of this dress now, and I love them all. Next we have the second Solar-Di-Da sweetheart dress that I've made this year. This one I had lowered the waist, I have lengthened the skirt, and I've also made the sleeves flutter sleeves, because as nice as the kind of fitted 3/4 length sleeves are, I do find them incredibly restrictive, and I much prefer these sleeves or flutter sleeves, as you've probably guessed. I think this dress was a great success. I really like how it turned out. This fabric was a viscose from the textile centre. I had 3 meters of it, and I just managed to cut this pattern out of it, but I love it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It's such a flattering shape. I love the little flutter sleeves on it. Can't believe I only made 1 of them. Definitely going to be making more next summer. Next we have my second Butterick 5209, made with some fabric that I got from Indian Royal Treasures on eBay. It's a rayon. As you saw earlier, I used the offcuts to make another hunter tank. Again, I love this dress. I knew I loved it from the blue one, so I wanted to make a second version. This has a side zip in, and I love it. So, you know, I really love this dress because I hate side zips. But this one's really easy to get in and out of. This was some fabric that I've had for the longest time, wanted to make up, and I'm really pleased with how it came out. Next up we have my wearable muslin for the Butterick 6380. I had this fabric from the textile centre. It's some rayon. It was I think it was Asda had made a range of garments in this, and they had some left over, so they sold the extra bolts to the textile centre. I think it's gorgeous. I initially made this dress with the original short puff sleeves, and I couldn't even get them, even the biggest size, I couldn't get them on my arm. They were so tightly drafted, so I took those off. Thankfully I had enough fabric left to cut out the McCalls 7357 sleeves, and I smooshed those onto the dress, and it's come out really well. This was my wearable muslin. I was meant to be making this dress from some navy crepe with pansies on it and instead of doing that I just made 3 other ones. So I really like this dress. I have worn this a couple of times. Then we have one of my favourite makes from this year, and it is another 8577. This time it is in the Liberty Carline Cotton Lawn in the blue colourway. I've wanted to make this dress for the longest time. I've had this fabric in my stash for quite a while, and I'm really happy that I got it made up this year. This fabric was part of my make 9, which was an utter fail. Out of the 9 fabrics I only got 2 of them sewn up, but I'm really glad that this was one of them, because I love the 8577. I love this Carline lawn. I love the giant pockets. I think this dress is glorious, and I've worn it twice since I've made it, because again I've just not really been going anywhere to wear it. Surprise surprise, we have another 8577. This time it is in the Amaryllis print from Lady McElroy. This cotton lawn was gifted to me by Alex and Hedge Hobby for my birthday this year. I actually have another smaller cut of this in my stash somewhere that's going to be a shirt one day. When they gave me a gift voucher for Sherwood Fabrics, I knew that I wanted the Amaryllis print as an 8577, so I bought myself 5 meters of it. I got the 2 of them sewn up at the same time because they both needed white thread, so I kind of batch sewed them, and I'm really glad that I did. I've worn this a couple of times out and about, and I love it. I think it's gorgeous. Then we have the Butterick 6309. This is a little denim jacket from Gertie. It's a lined denim jacket, although the sleeves aren't lined, which I find really odd, because if you're going to line any part of a jacket, I would have thought lining the sleeves would be a good idea. So I line the sleeves in a slippery fabric, and I line the main body of this jacket in a cotton silk, which again you will see another kind of use of later. I lengthened the sleeves by 1 inch, I lengthened the bodice by 1 inch, and I didn't need to do either. This was a wearable muslin with some turquoise denim that I got from Empress Mills at one of the shows. I used some really large brown buttons on it, which I really like. Overall, I'm really happy with this little denim jacket and how it came out, although I do think that it's not as successful as it could have been, so I am going to tweak the fit on it and revisit this jacket, because I would like to make a little denim, dark denim one that I can sew all my patches onto, because I have a lot of patches. I think that would be really cute. So September was a really quiet month, and I only made one thing, which was a swoon Annette bag from the Jungle Tropics fabric. I really like that bag. I've adjusted the lining so it can fit in a laptop and all the plugs and wires and things like that, but that was the only thing I made in September. So now we are moving on to later in the year. I actually made this in November, but it's at this point in the video, so I'm going to leave it in here. It was my first attempt at tailoring a coat properly, and I'm going to be doing a full review on the coat, the pattern, and the tailoring book that I used. I love how this turned out. I'm really pleased with it. I kind of wish I had made the high-low hem version, but the panels were so wide, and I only had 2 curtains. Oh yes, I made this from curtains. I only had 2 curtains to make this from, and I think that I wouldn't have had enough fabric for the high-low hem given how wide the panels were at the bottom. I thought I had less fabric than that initially, which is why I traced this shorter jacket, but I really like how it's turned out. I chickened out of doing buttonholes in velvet, so I have used press studs and then some faux buttons for decoration, and it's gorgeous. I haven't had a chance to wear it yet because it's only just come back from the dry cleaners, but I will be wearing this with pride. I am very happy with this, and for a pair of curtains I think it looks pretty damn good. Next up we have the McCalls 7906, I think that's the right number. It is this gorgeous pleated skirt from Sweet Potato Cotton, brushed cotton twill that I got from fabric.com. This skirt was, I traced it out and I traced a size 12, and I wasn't concentrating, and I haven't given myself enough wearing ease. I think I have about a ½ an inch of wearing ease in this, so it is a little bit tight at the moment. It's fine though. I mean, at one point I was expecting this not to fit at all, so I'm pleasantly surprised that it does fit. I will say the pockets on this thing are huge. Well, they look huge, and then you put them in and they're actually kind of tiny, so I think I'm going to make the pockets a little bit bigger for the next one that I make, and I will be making another one because I really like how it looks. I did fluff up with the belt carriers on this. I sewed them the wrong way, so they're not as chunky as they're meant to be, but I do like how they look, and I like that it is kind of higher waisted and goes over the natural waist. I think it's a really interesting silhouette, and I think it works really well with the kind of things that I like to wear. Next up is the Gertie Princess coat. This is the second one that I've made of this, and I decided to make it in trench coat form. The only thing I added to it was a storm flap on the back, which I used the backstay to draft. I love how this has turned out. I am over the moon with this. I've worn this out a couple of times already, although as you guys know I'm not really going anywhere at the moment, but I really love how this has turned out. I'm very happy with it. I used some Lady McElroy Shanghai Bouquet poly satin to line it. I'd bought that fabric as a remnant thinking I was going to make a dress out of it, and then the idea of wearing kind of that sort of fabric as a dress in the summer months really didn't appeal, and it was very summery fabric, summery print to my eye. So I decided to buy a little bit extra, so I had 3 meters to start with, and I bought another 2 meters, so I had 5 in total. I lined this coat with that fabric, and I'm so pleased that I did. I think it came out so beautifully. I absolutely love it. I'm going to be doing a review on the princess coat in a little bit so that I can talk to you guys in more detail about the pattern itself, but I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Now we have, I think, my proudest make of the year, and it is my underwater rainbow coat, and I've kind of christened it that because the print on the outer fabric reminds me of seaweed. It's in rainbow colours, as is the lining. I am so pleased with how this came out. It's something that I've been thinking about making for quite a while. I bought this fabric, the outer fabric, from Oya Textiles last year, one of my visits to the Gold Hawk Road with the Peeps. I got 5 meters of it. I have enough left that I think I'm going to be able to get a little jacket out of it as well, especially if I use a solid colour on the sleeves. It was my first attempt at bound buttonholes, which came out really well. Yeah, I am in love with this coat. I've worn it out once and I got so hot in it. I massively overheated. It hasn't got below sort of 3 or 4 degrees here in the UK at the moment, so it's not freezing weather, so this coat is definitely a cold weather coat. I can't imagine myself wearing this up to London when I'm allowed to go back again, because the idea of having this on the underground does not appeal. I'm so pleased with that coat. I love it. I absolutely love it. Then after making all of those coats, I decided on a little bit of an easy make, so I went for a Deer and Doe looping jacket in the sweet potato brushed cotton twill that I made the skirt from as well. I love the looping jacket. I lined it with the Shanghai Bouquet poly satin because I had enough of that left to do so, and I think I have enough left to line one more coat with that, or one more little jacket with that fabric, which is awesome. I love how this turned out. I haven't had a chance to wear it yet because I made it a couple of days ago and I haven't been anywhere since, but I can see that it's going to get a lot of wear in my wardrobe, especially as it's a solid colour and works really well with a lot of the stuff like this dress I'm wearing now. It would look lovely over this in slightly warmer weather where I don't need to be wrapped up and toasty warm. Very pleased with that. Then we have another Vogue 9357 skirt, this time in the Jungle Tropics fabric. It's gorgeous. I've lined the pockets and the waistband on this with the cotton lawn of the same print. I have worn this quite a few times. I like how versatile it is because the print has so many colours in it. I can wear it with a variety of different tops. It's just, again, another, I mean, that's the third one of those skirts that I've made and I absolutely love it. So I can see myself wearing it a lot in the coming months because I can wear it with tights and layers for the colder months, and then I can wear it in the spring with lighter tops and no tights, and it's going to be really versatile. Next I have what I think is actually my favourite dress make of the entire year. It's a Vogue 9345 shirt dress with a notched collar, super giant sleeves and a surprisingly full skirt. I made it from this, I think it's a polyester fabric that the very lovely Rachel got for me from Walton's Fabrics. She'd bought some of this for herself, featured it in a fabric haul. I messaged her and said, what is that gorgeous fabric, can I have some? And she went back to Walton's and bought me some. I paid for it. She delivered it at one of the hangouts. I completely forgot about that, and then it was this mystery fabric that I had no idea where it turned up from, but I loved it. I've made it with the giant sleeves. So the one that I made earlier this year in the peachy floral, the giant sleeves with the maxi skirt for me didn't work, but the giant sleeves with this midi skirt are actually brilliant. The sleeves on the pattern are meant to be bell sleeves and just hemmed, but I knew that they would get into everything, so I've actually put in a continuous lap and a cuff on them. I love it. I've worn this dress probably 5 or 6 times since I've made it, and it's just one of my favorites, and I think it's my favorite dress that I've made from this year. Next up we have the Vogue 9077, which is a pattern that I had fully discounted looking at the line art on the envelope. I have made a lot of changes to this pattern, and this is the second one of these that I've made. I made the first one a couple of years ago with pretty much the same amount of changes, but the fit wasn't quite right. So I've retraced this and I've filmed all the pattern hacking that I've done on this because you guys have asked for a sew along, which is coming. I'm going to be making this dress out of some very expensive viscose. Well, I mean, it's £15 a metre, but this fabric was I think £3 or £3.50 per metre. So this was my wearable muslin fodder for this dress. The reason I started to consider this pattern again is I saw it in the Sew Direct magazine in a very similar colour to this, and they'd sewed it with the darts on the inside. Darts on the if you like darts on the outside, you do you, but I personally prefer them on the inside. I think it kind of looks like you've made a mistake, but again, that's just my opinion. So if you like them on the outside, you do you. I love this dress. I absolutely love this dress. The skirt on this is so lovely because it's kind of fitted over the hips but not too fitted, and then massively flares out. So when you twirl, it's just fabulous. I'm so happy with this dress. Now, as I mentioned, I have kind of come to the realization that I prefer open notch collars like the previous dress, not the button up collar stand collar kind of dresses, because I will never wear it buttoned up all the way to the top. This one does, but I just don't like that look on me. Having said that, I will definitely be making another one of these, but I kind of like the idea of taking the skirt from this dress and sticking it onto other shirt dresses like the 9345, because I really like how it looks. But yeah, I'm very pleased with this dress and I'm really glad that I got it done. It was my wearable muslin for the sew along, which hopefully will be coming in the early part of next year. Next up we have this dress. This is the Butterick 6308. I think I got that wrong earlier, or 6380, it's one of those two, and with the sleeves from the McCalls 7537 on it. This is some fabric that was gifted to me by the very lovely Mary. I absolutely adore this dress. I think it's gorgeous. It's really comfortable to wear. It's fun, it's flattering. I'm so surprised that I like this skirt, because as you guys know, I like very full skirts. It was a little bit of a revelation when I made the first one of this particular pattern to find out that I like the skirt as much as I do, but I do really like it. So yeah, very happy with this dress. Next we have the third 8577 that I've made this year, this time in the Jungle Tropics cotton lawn from Lady McElroy. I bought this fabric ages ago from Sew Over It in person during a snowstorm. I've been hoarding onto it ever since. I was going to make a different shirt dress with this one, but I'm really pleased that I eventually turned it into an 8577 because I just love that pattern so much. The giant pockets, I like the layering ability of it. It might be weird to make a cotton lawn sleeveless dress at this time of year. I made this in November, but I find it very versatile because I can put things underneath it and layer it up to make it warmer, and then when I wear it in the summer I obviously wear it as is with nothing underneath it, or just a slip and some underwear underneath it, and I find that really comfortable as well. Then we have another Butterick 6380 or 08, and this time it is with the sleeves from the Vogue 9345. These are the sleeves that I made for the maxi dress at the beginning of the year and then didn't use. I had a little bit of the fabric left over, so I was going to make a shirt out of it, and then Rachel had gone to Walton's and vlogged it, and I saw that they had this fabric in the window, so I asked her to pick some more up for me, and she did, which means that I could get a dress out of it. So I made the Butterick 6380 because I just like this bodice. I added some buttons down the front to tie in with the buttons on the cuff. I love this dress. I don't think I've worn this one yet because I've kind of been wearing the dresses from the Pirate collection because I just love these colours. But I can see I might actually wear that tomorrow. No, I won't wear it tomorrow because I'm cooking Christmas dinner tomorrow and those sleeves are going to get in the way. I need to be sensible about this. But yeah, I really like this dress. Next up we have some easy projects and we're nearly at the end. This is the gable tee in the rainbow zebra fabric. It's a viscose jersey. I saw it and fell in love with it. I bought some as a gift for the very lovely Julian, and I decided that I needed some for myself as well. This gable t-shirt's been sat there for the longest time, cut out but waiting to be sewn up, and I'm really glad that I finally got around to it because it's just so bright and cheerful. I really like it. Then one of you lovely guys during one of the last hangouts of the year gave me the idea for Christmas pyjamas, so I have made the Sewaholic Renfrew tee and the Simplicity 1494 pyjama bottoms out of this gorgeous fabric that the very lovely Duvalet sent me from Lithuania. She'd featured it on her Instagram and I saw it and fell in love and asked her to get me some, so I sent her the money and she sent me the fabric, and I've turned it into PJs, which is what I always intended it to be, and I love them. And then the final thing that I have made this year is my proper wearable Sheridan sweater. You know, this was or could have been a really expensive mistake. The main body of this is made with some cable knit fabric from Higgs & Higgs, and I only bought a meter of it, not having checked the width of it, and I got it and I couldn't even, the sleeve pattern was wider than the amount of fabric that I had. So I found some basket weave knit from Sew Me Sunshine, and I've used that for the sleeves. I've used ribbing or cuffing for the cuff and the waistband. I've added on kind of like a stand-up turtleneck because I prefer that. The neckband on the Sheridan's really narrow, which I didn't think I'd be able to do in this really thick bouncy fabric either. This could have been an utter disaster, but I think it's worked out really well, and I really like how the combination looks together. And that was my final make for the year, and it was a very easy make as well, which was great. Okay, so that is everything. I think I've made 125 things. It might be 126 because I think I missed one of the tops that I'd made. I think I missed writing that on my list. I have made a lot of things this year, some of which were successful and some of which were atrocious. Some of which have been donated, as I mentioned, and some of which I wear all of the time. So it's been definitely a mixed bag. I have tried to branch out and try some newer patterns. I did quite a lot of sew-alongs this year. I'm really glad that I'm trying some sort of different shapes and silhouettes for me, because it's kind of being eye-opening as to what suits me, and some of the narrower skirts and more 40s looking dresses actually I think suit me really, really nicely. So that was kind of nice to find out, because it means that some of the shorter lengths of fabric that I have in my stash that I had no idea what to do with can be some of those sorts of dresses. It's been a really productive year, which has been great. I've been so lucky that I've been able to continue to work, and it has been a huge lifesaver for me mental health wise, that is for sure. And looking back over all the things that I've made, I'm pleased with myself. So let me know in the comments down below which is your favourite, and kindly let me know which is your least favourite. I'm going to be doing a top 5 hits and a top 5 misses of the year, which I think, having watched this video, you'll be able to tell which was which. But I'm going to do a little bit more in detail kind of chat about why I think the hits were such hits and why I think the misses were such misses. But yeah, let me know in the comments section down below which was your favourite make from the entire year. That's it. This has probably been a really, really long video, so thank you so much if you got to this point for bearing with me and listening to me waffle. I have really enjoyed looking back over everything I made, and as I say, I've really enjoyed trying some new silhouettes this year. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!